Most people dream about escaping the busy world for a few days. But one young man from Vietnam decided to do something far more extreme. He chose to leave civilization behind and start a completely new life in the middle of nature. Not for a weekend, not for a vacation, but as a long-term challenge. His goal sounded almost impossible. He wanted to build an entirely self-sufficient floating island with his own hands. A place where he could grow food, raise animals, catch fish, and survive without depending on anyone else. What makes this story even more incredible is that he didn't have a team of workers, expensive machinery, or professional equipment. Everything would be built using natural materials and simple tools. This extraordinary journey would eventually capture the attention of millions of people around the world. And today, we're going to follow his remarkable adventure from the very beginning. The story begins deep inside a remote rainforest in Vietnam. Hidden among dense vegetation and surrounded by untouched wilderness lies a quiet lake. Far away from crowded cities and busy roads, this lake seemed like the perfect place to start his dream project. The environment was beautiful, but it was also dangerous. The jungle was filled with unknown animals, insects, unpredictable weather, and countless challenges. Most people would see these obstacles and immediately turn back. But not him. He saw opportunity. Standing on the shore of the lake, he imagined something that didn't yet exist. A floating island. A small, self-sustaining world built entirely by his own hands. The challenge was enormous. Before growing food or building shelters, he first needed something that could float. Without a solid foundation, nothing else would be possible. So he began searching the surrounding forest for suitable materials. After exploring the area, he discovered the perfect solution. Bamboo. Strong, lightweight, flexible, and naturally buoyant. For centuries, bamboo has been one of the most useful building materials in Asia. It grows quickly, can support heavy loads, and floats exceptionally well on water. He immediately got to work. Day after day, he cut bamboo stalks and carried them back to the lakeshore. Each piece had to be prepared carefully. There were no shortcuts, no machines, only patience and hard work. As the pile of bamboo grew larger, the first stage of construction finally began. Creating the raft was much harder than it looked. The bamboo poles needed to be secured tightly together. Normally, builders would use ropes, metal fasteners, or industrial materials. But he didn't have access to any of those things. Instead, he turned once again to nature. By stripping fibers from bamboo and other plants, he created strong natural cords. It was a slow and tedious process. Each strand had to be prepared by hand, then carefully twisted and woven together. After many hours of work, he finally had enough rope to begin assembling the raft. One bamboo pole at a time, the platform started taking shape. At first, it looked fragile. But with every additional layer, the structure became stronger. Slowly but surely, a massive floating foundation emerged. For the first time, his dream was beginning to look real. The raft floated successfully on the water. It was stable, it was strong, and it was ready for the next stage. Building a home. Constructing a house in the middle of a lake presented an entirely new set of challenges. The biggest problem was that he had no nails, no screws, no metal brackets, nothing that modern builders normally rely on. But traditional builders solved these problems long before metal hardware became common. Inspired by ancient construction techniques, he began creating wooden joints. He carefully carved holes into pieces of wood, then inserted specially shaped wooden pegs to lock everything together. The process required incredible precision. A single mistake could weaken the entire structure. But his patience paid off. Beam by beam, post by post, The frame of the house slowly rose above the raft. Soon, the floating platform no longer looked like a simple raft. It was becoming a real home. Next came the roof. He split bamboo into thin strips and arranged them in overlapping layers. This design allowed rainwater to flow naturally off the roof. The result was simple but highly effective. After weeks of effort, a small house stood proudly in the middle of the lake, a place where he could sleep, rest, and stay protected from the elements. But survival requires more than shelter. He still needed food. In the beginning, finding food was a daily struggle. The lake became his primary source of nutrition. He spent hours searching the shallow waters for shellfish and small fish. Sometimes he succeeded. Sometimes he didn't. Life in the wilderness offered no guarantees. Every meal had to be earned. As he continued exploring the area, he realized that his original location wasn't ideal. The shoreline was steep and rocky. Transporting materials was exhausting. Working conditions were difficult. Eventually, he decided to relocate to a flatter section of the lake. Accompanied by his loyal dog, he moved to a sandy shoreline that offered much better access to resources. This decision would prove to be one of the most important choices of the entire project. The new location provided more space and greater opportunities for expansion. Now he could begin thinking beyond basic survival. He could start building a future. One of his biggest goals was growing his own food. Depending entirely on fishing was risky. Bad weather or poor catches could leave him hungry. So he transformed part of his floating platform into a garden. He collected fertile black soil from the forest. Then he mixed it with decomposing leaves and organic material. The result was nutrient-rich growing beds. Soon, seeds were planted. Vegetables began appearing. Chili peppers started growing. A banana tree took root. What had once been a simple raft was gradually transforming into a floating farm. Every new plant represented greater independence. Every successful harvest reduced his reliance on the outside world. The floating island was becoming more self-sufficient with each passing week. But he wasn't satisfied yet. His ambitions continued. Using natural materials, he built a small pond directly on the floating structure. This allowed him to keep fish close to home and manage them more efficiently. To improve his chances of catching larger fish, he also designed special traps. These traps worked continuously, even while he focused on other tasks. One day, his patience was rewarded. Inside one of the traps was a large catfish. For someone living off the land, this was a major success. Not only did it provide food, but it proved that his system was working. Every new achievement increased his confidence. The floating island was no longer just a dream. It was becoming a functioning ecosystem. Transportation soon became another challenge. As the island expanded, growing rice. Rice is one of the most important foods in Vietnam. But cultivating rice on a floating platform sounded nearly impossible. Most people would never even attempt it. He did. Using bamboo, he built a larger floating structure specifically designed for agriculture. Layers of banana leaves helped retain moisture. Soil was mixed with wood ash and decomposed organic matter. Together, these materials created a surprise. The trail suggested regular animal activity. Recognizing an opportunity, he set a trap nearby. Eventually, the trap captured 2 wild chickens. Many people would have immediately used them for food, but he had a different plan. He saw long-term benefits. Then something remarkable happened. The rest of the colony followed. Soon, hundreds of bees were living on the floating island. The benefits were immediate. The bees improved pollination throughout the garden. Crop production increased. And there was an additional reward: honey, a valuable source of energy and nutrition. Another piece of the self-sufficiency puzzle had fallen into place. month. For the first time, he was able to eat food that had been completely produced by his own efforts. Every grain represented countless hours of labor. Every bite symbolized success. It was proof that the dream was working. Looking around the island, the transformation was astonishing. What had started as a simple raft had become a miniature floating village. There were gardens, fish ponds, rice fields, chicken shelters, bee colonies, and a comfortable home. Just 1 year earlier, none of it existed. Now it floated proudly in the middle of the lake, built entirely by one determined individual. This project wasn't simply about survival. It was about creativity, discipline, patience, and the incredible potential of human ingenuity. It demonstrated what can happen when knowledge, hard work, and determination come together. In the end, this young man learned an important lesson. True independence doesn't come from fighting nature. It comes from understanding it, working with it, respecting it. His floating island became a symbol of that relationship. A reminder that humans are capable of extraordinary things when they learn to adapt and create. And perhaps that's why millions of people around the world became fascinated by his story. Because deep down, it reminds us of something powerful. That even in the most challenging environments, with limited resources and countless obstacles, human beings possess an incredible ability to build, innovate, and transform dreams into reality. And there, floating peacefully on the surface of a remote Vietnamese lake, stands proof that sometimes the most extraordinary world